the 7 billion naira mystery in Eket. In 2017, it was the biggest project in Eket, and in 2025, it remained abandoned, covered up with weeds. Who were the persons involved? This project was supposed to give us hope. Now we are left with nothing. And why are the people of Eket not speaking out? What about the elders in Eket? Why are they not speaking up? Is it that there was a tussle between the elders in Eket that has made them not to speak with one voice concerning the Eket China market? Or is it that one person had denied the elders subcontracts in the Eket China market? These are questions that comes to our mind. Today, the Citizens Assembly paid a visit to the China market. Though we were refused to make some videos and interviews, but we're still able to push this one through. Thank you so much for joining. And on this particular episode, we'll be dissecting and bisecting, even slicing and dicing all information about the Eket China market. Stay on as we get started with the conversation. Good day to you. Thank you so much for joining us this time around. It's another time to be right here in Eket, where we look at exactly what is happening in Eket, a local government. I go by the name Peters Buhari, and today we are at this particular location, and this has got to be the international market located in Eket local government. Don't forget, this project was actually started in 2017 when we had Udom Gabriel Emmanuel as the governor of Akwa Ibom State, and a lot of promises were made about this particular project. We had thoughts about conversations about it was going to provide jobs for the youth, and also we're going to have a lot of economic activities happen right here at the Eket China market. So who are the persons involved in this particular project? So this project was a PPP, a public-private partnership, and it was supposed to be with Yiwu that resides in China and the Akwa Ibom State government. So I know you'll be asking questions, what was really like the agreement between both sides? But talking about the agreement, the governor, Pastor Mo Bassiano, has actually stated that the agreement was not well signed, and it looks like Eket, or let's say Akwa Ibom, was actually in a cage. I will not be able to get themselves out of it. So now this project is really of concern, and we are here today to look at exactly what the state of the Eket China market is. Don't forget, 5,000 shops are supposed to be made out of this particular project, and we heard that each of these shops are going to sell for a minimum of 3 million naira and a maximum of 4 million naira. And if you run your calculation, it runs into billions of naira. And I know people also want to ask question, how much has been invested in this project? So you stated that this project cost about over $25 million. That was the total investment by you. And Akwa Ibom State government, they are part of contribution to this particular project. Some persons cannot really state exactly how much Akwa Ibom State had invested in these particular projects. But the fact is that maybe a lot of partnership, because don't forget it's a PPP, that's a public-private partnership. So maybe there might have been a lot of contributions by the Akwa Ibom State government. But as we go on, we'll be able to dissect that more on this particular episode of the program. Now let's move over to exactly what you said. They said 25 million US dollars was their own part of contribution to this project, and they stated that it has actually stayed 60% completed. So if you run your calculation now, let's go far back to 2017. The exchange rate for a US dollar to a naira was about 306 naira to 1 US dollar. So you know exactly what that means. About 7.6 billion naira was actually invested into this project by Yiwu. And now let's still go on in this conversation. We have to also talk about the impact of this project lying this way. Don't forget, initially this market, this portion of land was occupied by the market women and the market men and the hustlers around this particular angle, trying to look for their daily bread every day before this particular project came in. And don't forget, promises were made that over 10,000 jobs were going to be created. And since then, questions are being asked. We have more questions than answers concerning this particular project, the China market. But now let's get into another very important conversation, and that's got to be what the governor said in the media chat last year, marking 1 year in office. When he was asked about this particular project, I'll let you listen to exactly what he had to say about the project.
The investor told government to pay, they were to own 70%, government was to own 30%. The 30% of government will build the whole market. So the man sits on 70% and owns 70%, whereas government built the whole market with 30%. When the former governor discovered that, he demanded that we appraise that investment again. Then COVID set in. The Chinese group returned back to China and they've not come back because they know we know what they tried to do. So the evaluation is talking about is right. But again, you cannot do anything because there's an existing agreement which you have not exited. And the lawyers know what that.
They've just listened to the governor speaking about partnership with the Chinese, that the money that was actually contributed by Akwa Ibom State government in that particular partnership was enough to finish up this project. And he said 30%. And now, let's 30% of what? Because everyone wants to ask the question, how much? Is it 30% of 100 naira or 30% of 10 naira? Let's understand 30% of what? And when we talk about projects like this, Akwa Ibomites, Nigerians, Eket residents will be asking for figures. How much did the Akwa Ibom State government put into this project? That has got to be the question. But I can tell you for free that in 2018 budget of Akwa Ibom State, we had 150 million naira budgeted for the international market in Eket. So the question is that the 30% that the governor meant when he was speaking? Because if you go through the budget of Akwa Ibom State since that particular day, there has not been any budget given or allocated for these particular projects since the 2018 budget. Apart from this year where we have seen over 1 billion naira budgeted for these projects. And the question is, what will be done now on these particular projects? So now, we heard reports that it was when the COVID-19 came, that was when the Chinese workers decided to go back to their country. And it was more like an excuse by everyone connected to this project that the Chinese went back to their country and are going to be back after the COVID-19. But the COVID-19 finished since 2020 or even 2021 because of the lockdown. But this project still lies this way, uncompleted. And the question that people are asking, and I'm also posting the same question, is that was there nobody connected with the Chinese when this project was being handled in Eket local government? Is it that the Chinese were just working with themselves and were not working with anybody? If someone like that exists, or the ministry in charge of this project, why don't people give answers to why this project is lying this way? Why are people not answering questions? They will also report that some persons paid money to have shops in this particular position. Some persons paid 3 million naira so that they could get shops right here. And now there were lots of conversation, even as a then, of what Akwa Ibom State or Eket local government were contributing in it. And it got to a point that there were even argument disputes about this particular land that was used for this project. Some persons even came out and said it was our family land, it was my family land, and a whole lot of others. But the fact remains that this land, this particular land, belonged to the Eket local government, and it was more like a part of contribution to the project. Don't forget, the managing director of Yiwu International stated that $25 million was invested in this project, and it's lying this way. And he also stated that this project was at 60% completion. And he also stated that this project was 100% Chinese investment. So who is now lying to us? Is it the Akwa Ibom State government that are telling us that 30% of Akwa Ibom State contribution was enough for this project to be completed? Or is it the managing director of Yiwu that is making that wrong and forceful claim. And now we had the conversation about the COVID-19. It was because of the COVID-19 and a whole lot of others. But reporters got it that the Chinese were back in Akwa Ibom State in 2021 after the lockdown. What happened? Why didn't this project continue? What really went wrong? So questions are even more than answers. And it's a time that the government needs to look inward and answer these questions, because the persons that handle this project are within the government or were within the government, and they can give answers to this project. Now 1 billion naira has been allocated for this project in this year's budget. And now the question that we are asking is, what would the 1 billion naira be used for? Because even the governor had confirmed that there were some legal constraints that is stopping the government from taking over this project. So what would the 1 billion naira be used for? Will it be used to bring in new investors? Will it be used to renegotiate these particular projects with new investors? Or will it be used to start up the project? But can the government complete this project? Because as it stands, it is 100% Chinese investment. And the only thing we own right here has got to be the land. So this has got to be a forgotten dream. One dream that Eket residents were booming with so much of vibes back then, and saying that we're going to have a market that was going to serve even the whole of the South, possibly Nigeria. But it looks like this one is lying low. We hope that this will not be another forgotten project, another forgotten dream. And we ask the government to look into this, and let's find a way out of this. I remain Peters Buhari, and I thank you so much for joining me. And this has got to be the Citizens Assembly. For now, I take a bow. God bless you.